It's kind of ironic, well, not ironic, maybe unusual, that the first reading from the Acts of the Apostles, which was written by St. Luke, we hear the very first words in that story, and then in the Gospel of Luke today, we hear the very last words, both of them being about this great event of Jesus returning to the Father. I think there's a temptation to see the Ascension, which is the conclusion of Jesus' life on earth, as an ending. But actually, that's to see it backwards. What we celebrate today is really a beginning. In the story from the Acts, Jesus told his followers very simply, "Go and be my witnesses to the ends of the earth." He encouraged them to baptize, to teach, to carry on the work that he had begun. But his first word was very direct. He simply said, "Go, go. The world is waiting. Act on what I have told you. Put it into practice." But the account in Acts offers another challenge to the disciples and to us. After the disciples watched Jesus disappear up into the clouds, two men appeared. And they said, "Men of Galilee, why are you standing there looking at the sky?" In other words, what are you waiting for? Not going to do any good standing here. The apostles were not supposed to spend their time staring wistfully up into the stars, waiting for the master return. There was work to do. There was a world waiting to be converted. So they left the mountain, they went into the city, and they launched the greatest missionary activity in the history of the world. It seems to me that Jesus' first word at that moment is a command to all of us. Go. Go and transform the world. Go and pick up those who have fallen. Go and heal those who are hurting. Go and love those who have been forgotten. Or as the dismissal at the end of Mass says, go in peace, glorifying the Lord by your lives. The disciples did that, and so did countless others after them. Look at some of the saints in our calendar. 3 weeks ago, we celebrated the feast of St. Damien, who lived his going among lepers on an island, Hawaii. Last month, we also celebrated the feast of Isidore. He didn't go anywhere beyond his farm and his village, and yet he brought the good news to hundreds. There are modern heroes as well, people like Father Gregory Boyle, who lives among the street gangs in Los Angeles, offering them job training and opportunity and hope. Or Jean Vanier, who died 3 weeks ago at the age of 90, who was consulted by Pope Francis, Pope John Paul, Pope Benedict. He spent all of his life, almost all of his life, dwelling among the mentally disabled in Canada. And he championed their rights and their abilities to teach us all. Now, there's Dorothy Day, who saw Jesus every day in the poor and the downcast, who showed up at her door of the Catholic Worker House on Manhattan's Lower East Side. Many of us will leave this church after Mass today and return to work tomorrow. We'll have meetings to attend and bosses to deal with and deadlines to meet. But there is other work to be done too, the great command that all of us are charged to carry out. And how will we do that? How will we respond to Jesus' order to go? How will we make the ordinary job of living transcend and ascend? How will we raise our lives to God? 2,000 years after Jesus returned to the Father, and the first disciples stood there on a mountaintop staring up into the clouds, so much of the world is still waiting to hear good news, the good news, to hear his message of hope and redemption and resurrection, and to understand why all that matters. So many of us are still waiting to hear and eventually understand what it means to be a disciple of Jesus Christ and to love one another. How will we make that known to those we meet this week? Dorothy Day once wrote, "Our faith is stronger than death. Our philosophy is firmer than flesh, and the spread of the kingdom of God upon the earth is more sublime and more compelling than anything in life." So the message of this beautiful feast, I think, is very simple. Do not stay too long on the mountain. Do not spend your time gazing at the stars, living in the past, or dreaming of the future. Look instead to what lies before you. Get ready and go. What Dorothy Day called the kingdom of God upon earth needs to be built. The Ascension is just the beginning. The rest now is up to us.